I hired someone in my business recently and she quit 2 months later. And I'm making this because I want to document everything I learned in that process so that next time I hire for this role, that does not happen again. And I'll share everything I learned here with you as well in the event that it's helpful for you. Who am I? My name is Ryan Rice. I am a full-time real estate investor. I've been doing this for 4 years. And I'm also going to be sharing this from the context of having almost 14 years in higher level Fortune 30 leadership. I did a lot of hiring. In fact, for about 2 years, I was a quote recruiting captain for my area and did hiring at a large scale. And so some of the things that I'm going to be sharing from you or with you are also going to be with all of that very, very relevant experience. Hiring is crucial to business. And if you have your own business and you are scaling, it's going to be the difference between you successfully scaling and you not successfully scaling. So let's get into the things that I learned. First, how much you like the person in the interview may or may not indicate their performance. And this was very applicable in my previous world as well. But when I hired this individual, not only was there an association because she came from a referral from someone who I know, but during the interview, this was a Zoom interview or Zoom interviews, we did multiple interviews. We just related very well. We connected well. We shared similar things. She had young kids. I have young kids. I liked her. I could see myself having a conversation with her outside of work. She is someone that I enjoyed interacting with. And that is not always relevant to how they will perform in that specific role. And in this case, I'm not saying it necessarily misled me, but what I did is these Zooms were recorded and I went and I rewatched them. And there were things in the interviews that I missed. And I think I missed them because I enjoyed speaking with her. And watching the videos was a good reminder for me that I need to make sure that regardless of how I might feel interpersonally with the other individual, I can't let that disrupt me from what the actual outcome is, which is what are the skills and what do I need for this role and how does that person match up? So very easy, simple learning there, but I think we all fall into the trap of if we are interacting with someone who we like, then it could put blinders. And I'm not saying that we should hire people that we don't like or that we shouldn't take that as a factor, but we also need to make sure that it doesn't prevent us from seeing other things. And in this case, there were other things in the interview when I went back and I watched, and I just completely missed them the first time around. So just for what it's worth, don't let the fact that you are interacting with someone in a good manner and you're feeling good with the interaction put on any blinders of what may actually be important. The second learning, if in the beginning when you're hiring for a role that you may have not hired for before or you haven't done a significant amount of volume, go rewatch the interview. Make sure that they're recorded and rewatch them. This was really, really helpful for me when I did it. And I watched every single one. There were 3, I believe. No, 2. There were 2 that I rewatched. And I spent a couple hours doing this and taking notes. And it was very helpful because it revealed gaps in my questioning and how I can make the questions better and things that stood out that I didn't notice the first time around. So go rewatch your interviews, and I think you're going to pick up things that you may have missed the first time. And especially if you really liked the person in the interview, when you rewatch, you may be able to pick up these different dynamics that you didn't the first time because you really liked the person. The third learning, interview in volume. The point of interviewing in volume is you're going to learn how to ask better questions. You're going to learn more about what this type of candidate may bring to the table. You're going to learn more when candidates start talking about the role. You might learn what's important about the role because the candidate may be telling you if they have experience. And in this case, for me, I had done maybe less than a total of 10 interviews ever hiring for this role. And this time around, I did like 5. And I remember in the beginning, I actually told this to someone on our team. I said, yeah, I do really like this person, but man, I feel like it would be really lucky if I interviewed 5 people and I hired one. And it felt uncomfortable. It felt like I shouldn't make a decision that quickly. But because it was easy and I didn't need to invest more time and I liked the person, I went ahead and I made the hire. And so I don't think that in the beginning you can interview too many people. You're going to learn a lot about your questions, especially if these interviews are recorded and you can go watch them. You'll learn how to ask better questions. You'll pick up these things like we already talked about. But just do a lot of them, right? I think, and in terms of how many should I do, Ryan? I am probably, now that I've already done, say 5 to 10 interviews for this role, I'm at minimum going to do at least 10 to 20 more next time I hire for this role. And so, I don't know, at least 20 to 30 interviews. But Ryan, that's going to take so much time. If it's a half hour for each interview, we're talking 10 to 20 hours. Yeah, correct. It is going to take time, but that is the definition of getting better. That's why business is not easy, because you have to put in that time up front. And so interview and volume, you're going to learn a lot more about the candidate and about how you interview, and you're going to learn how to interview better. The fourth learning on the interview is the best the candidate's ever going to be, right? That's their highlight reel. And I think that's important, because if that's the best that they're going to be, then you can keep that in mind when you're interviewing the candidate. And if there is anything that kind of stands out, well, you know they're showing up their best in that moment. And if for some reason they're not showing up their best, then they didn't put in enough effort for the interview. They should be showing up their best. And so something to keep in mind, the interview will always be them at their best, and you have to keep that in mind. Every single day they show up to work, they're not going to be at their best. So I think that's important to remember. And the fifth and the last thing, the last learning here, someone may be a value fit and someone may have the skills, but if they can't commit what is required, either because of the phase of life that they're in or whatever reason, if they can't commit to you what it is that you need, whether it's from a time standpoint, an availability standpoint, it's not going to be a good fit. And it's going to feel like, because they're a value fit and because they have the skills, you're going to really want to give them the job. But if you do that and they don't have the ability to commit what it is that you need, it's going to be a big waste of time. So that's an important facet. They need to be able to, the candidate needs to be able to commit to you what it is that you need. And if you're a business that's in the beginning, you're going to need someone that might be a little bit more flexible with their time. They might be a little bit more comfortable with uncertainty. So, values, skills are important, but you have to make sure that they commit to you. They can commit to you what it is that you need. So those are the learnings. I'm going to apply all those things to my future interviews for any role in my company, and especially this one. But hope you guys got some value out of that. If you did, if you think there's a new business owner out there who is actively hiring and they'd benefit from hearing this, share it with them. I would love to flood the real estate community with more and more investors who are hiring people the right way and who have thriving businesses. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.